Episode 165, the first Hump Day Hangouts in the brand new spanking year of 2018. So before we get started, I just want to jump down real quick and say hi to everybody. So Chris is muted, but hopefully he's going to speak up here. How you doing, man?
Doing good. Obviously, I'm speaking up here.
Awesome. As always, appreciate you joining us. Sometimes I forget that Chris is like super far ahead of us time zone wise. I think I'd probably be asleep if I was him. So thanks for being here.
Sure thing.
Hernan, how's it going, man?
Hey guys, hey everyone. Yeah, really excited for what's coming. Really excited for this new year. There's a lot of the good stuff coming up, so I'm excited to be here. I like your t-shirt, by the way.
Oh, this one? Oh, that's right. It's the Semantic Mastery Mastermind shirt. I'm glad you noticed. Thanks. Yeah.
This old rag, I just threw it on, right?
Yeah,
Right.
I don't know what you're talking about. I like
Where's mine?
to test them, so I've got like 3 shirts now because we tried a couple different materials, and so yeah, I'm Semantic Mastery decked out. So
Nice.
yep. Marco, what's up, man?
What's going on, man? I'm so looking forward to 2018 and everything that we got going. I mean, we just got some awesome stuff coming down the pipeline. So
Yes, we do.
it's going to be a good one.
It is. I completely agree. And speaking of that, one, Bradley, how's it going? But then two, I also wanted to ask you, we're starting in on the new mastermind training. And so I want, if you can share with people just quickly about what kind of January is about, because we kind of got, I'll say like a theme for each month, and that we're doing kind of modularized training. So do you want to kind of share with people like what's going on?
Yeah, man. First of all, happy to be here. Glad it's 2018. I'm glad the holidays are pretty much over now, because although it's a nice time of year, it's incredibly stressful, and I'm glad it's over so we can get back to the grind, and do what I enjoy. That said, yeah, Mastermind, we're starting the new curriculum right away. Like I've actually started working on it yesterday, and I will be throughout the rest of the year. We've got several different modules, and we're trying to kind of like keep our training more organized now and more logical in a way. And so that's really what we're going to be developing out and building 2 businesses throughout the process. A local gym. It's a CrossFit and MMA/boxing gym, as well as the digital marketing agency that we're building. So we're going to be building those in the mastermind. And this month, or the first module, the modules are somewhat going to follow the months. In other words, one for January, one for February, but there's likely going to be some modules that take more than 4 weeks. And so it may end up being that, we end up with 10 modules over 12 to 14 months or something like that. That said, we're starting with the PPC module because that's basically how I start all sort of projects now, is using PPC to determine keywords and find out where the traffic is and which offers convert and that kind of stuff. And so it's logical to start there. So we're starting with the PPC module. I'm going to drop a link on the event page, guys. That is the actual Mastermind 2018 schedule, or course outline, I should say. Just 1 minute while I drop the link. You guys can check it out. I'm going to grab the screen real quick, and we'll just very quickly look at the first module, and then we'll get into questions. So bear with me for 1 moment. Okay. So this is it. So we've got module 1, which is the PPC. Emphasis is obviously going to be on local because, well, I say that, but we're going to be doing a little bit of both, actually, because we're going to be doing PPC in AdWords. I'll be managing the AdWords stuff. Hernan is going to contribute some Facebook stuff, and I'll be doing AdWords and Bing training. Okay, so we're going to be doing ads for a local business, the CrossFit gym, which could be applied for the training can be applied to client work or for your own lead gen stuff, right? So because it's the same thing, it's generating local leads. That's basically what we're going to be doing. Doing AdWords for Google search, AdWords for YouTube. So in other words, AdWords for video. And then we'll be doing some Bing stuff, and then we'll end up doing some retargeting stuff a little bit later down the road. Retargeting and remarketing. We're going to touch on that briefly at the beginning. During this PPC module, but we're going to have later on in the year, we're going to have probably a whole entire module based on remarketing. Okay. So I just wanted to kind of give you guys a heads up that we're going to be doing that for local businesses first. We also have the agency, which is great because those are national terms, right? We're going to be targeting an industry, a niche, not a specific location. And so for our agency, we're going to be setting up some PPC campaigns as well as Facebook, Facebook ads and stuff to try to drive the industry type into our agency. So we're going to get both national PPC stuff as well as local PPC stuff. And then that said, I've also got, because I'm going to be, you know, basically neck deep in AdWords and PPC stuff for the next several weeks, we've got a few different like campaign things that we want to set up for both Semantic Mastery as well as our, you know, affiliate business Mastery PR, that I'm going to be doing some AdWords for YouTube, YouTube ad stuff for both of those, which could be applied to affiliate work, right? So, or list building and affiliate offers. And so again, it's going to be rather intense in depth for going into PPC as much as we can over the course of the next 4 to 6 weeks. Again, I'll be doing the AdWords stuff, and Hernan will be doing the Facebook stuff. So if you're interested in checking it out, guys, now's a really good time to get in. This is the start of this whole process that we're going to be going through for the rest of the year. And we've got a lot of work cut out ahead of us, but I think it's going to be really, really good. So
awesome. Awesome. Yeah, well, that's just one of the many good things we got going on. I'm pretty pumped about that. So yeah, if anybody ever has any questions about the mastermind, feel free to ping us, support at Semantic Mastery, post in the Facebook group. Let us know, and we're happy to answer questions about that. And before we get into the questions, though, we did have one thing we wanted to mention again. We've gotten a lot of donations. We're really happy about that, and I'll let Marco kind of talk about this because it's still going on for a couple more weeks, and if we can, we'd really like to bump that up.
Yeah, I mean, we have it going on till January 26th, which gives us a week to go shopping before school starts. But I mean, I'll drop the link for people who want to go and donate. I mean, $1, $2. Everything that you donate gets us that much closer to getting another kid a full set of supplies, uniforms, and books for the entire year, right? For 2018. So $100 will go a long way towards getting these kids to school and then out of the streets, right? That's what we try to do. Keep them away from the gangs, from the drug dealers who use them, right? And to just other people who use them. And we know that education is the way to go. And so we try to provide that. We try to provide tutoring. We try to provide safe havens so that they can go and have a place to stay so that they can be safe while mom and dad are at work. Because even in these communities, right, these so-called, the most dangerous communities, there's good people there who have to go out and work every day and run the gauntlet, man. And they don't know what's going on with the kids because they have to leave. They have no option but to leave them at home and hope that they go to school and hope that they survive the day. So, I mean, that's what we're doing. We're trying to get them out the street and into school, keep them in school because education is the way. And so that's what we're doing. That's the link. We're at over 3K. I think I mentioned to you. It's on the page. You know, we're tracking. Everything's on the page. How much it has been donated, how much is still needed. We're using Stripe because the fees are way lower than anything else. If we had gone through PayPal, it would have been ridiculous. And so we chose Stripe. So please, you know, just go there, donate what you can. And if you don't, we're still going to answer your questions, guys. We're not forcing anyone into doing anything. We're still here. We're still live. We're still free.
It'd be good, a forced charity Hump Day hangout, but yeah, we're not going to do that. And a big thank you to everyone who's donated. There's been a lot already, and we really do appreciate it. And more than that, I mean, you can imagine there's going to be a ton of kids getting to go to school, having the stuff they need, which is pretty awesome in my mind. So
before I forget, Semantic Mastery donated $1,000. Anyone matching the $1,000 that Semantic Mastery donated gets 2 hours consultation from me. If anyone donates $5,000, I'm gonna set up your one campaign, right, from beginning to end, with everything, with IFTTT, with RYS Reloaded, with everything that you need to make it work, whether it's a client, whether it's your own personal business. So if you're willing to do that, I'm willing to do this for you. 10 hours is more than enough for us to go grab a niche, and you're going to start making money. So, anyone thinking about it, there it is. That's my offer to you.
That's awesome. All right, before we get into it real quick, just want to say, if you're new to the Semantic Mastery group and you're just seeing this, first of all, thank you very much for being here. And if a lot of people ask us, where should I get started? The place to get started is the BattlePlan, the SEO blueprint. We got a coupon code for you. You can save $75. We highly suggest just grabbing that and getting started with that. That's going to show you what you need to do and just break it down so you can just follow that. All right. If you haven't yet created an account at SerpSpace, head over there. It's free to create your account. You can check it out. There's some free tools as well as all of the done-for-you services inside of there. Some really cool stuff coming there. Don't have time to go into that today. And then support.semanticmastery.com. That's where we put a lot of the frequently asked questions. So maybe it's like Friday and you don't want to wait till Wednesday for Hump Day Hangouts. You can go there, check that out, and see if it's already been answered. We have a lot of videos, clipped videos and charts and diagrams and things like that. So anything else on your guys' end, or should we jump into it?
I've got one thing. Go to bradleybender.com and subscribe if you want mindset like kicking ass every day. I'm still working on that every day. I have not been able to record any videos in like 3 weeks. However, I just started. Yeah, yesterday was Tuesday, right? It's kind of blurred, but I just started my coaching at the CrossFit gym every morning. And so I'm going to be setting up some video equipment over there, and I'll probably have time to bust out videos over there a lot more often. So anyways, I'm going to be adding more videos to my YouTube channel, guys, for the mindset stuff. But it's just, I haven't had the time due to the holidays, but I have been updating the emails every single day, which is awesome. It's something that I've developed that habit now. I'm like 40 some days into it. And it's great because it's really helping me to become a better writer and to kind of get my thoughts out there in a more concise way, which is difficult for me sometimes. So again, it's just more of a kick in the ass type thing, like to motivate, get you thinking about your own goals, your own habits, and that kind of stuff on a daily basis. So I'd encourage you to go check it out, bradleybender.com. I'm not pushing a bunch of affiliate offers. I do link to the resources that I discuss, like the books. It's pretty much all Amazon stuff. But it's really just more about trying. And I've gotten a lot of really, really good replies from people that are subscribed, and they keep them coming, by the way, guys. I really appreciate the comments. I appreciate the questions. I will be recording some videos to answer some of the questions that have been submitted over the last couple of weeks. Like I said, just bear with me. Give me another week or two to get everything set up. And I'm really going to continue building that out. Okay. So with that said, if we don't have anything else, guys, I'm going to go ahead and jump into these questions.
Let's do it.
All right. Tom's up first. And Tom, I read your question earlier, and yeah, you can still use Crowdsearch. I'm not saying don't use it. I'm just saying use it. It's not as effective as it used to be. And there, I think there's some reasons for that. We won't get into that now, but it can still be used, and it can still be effective if you use it correctly. Okay. And so first of all, yeah, you can run traffic directly to your YouTube videos. That's fine. You can run traffic through, like, direct to the YouTube URL, so it's not even a search and click, in other words, or you can run them through YouTube search or Google search, right? You can do either one. So it's what we call CT spam, click-through spam. And that works. That still works fine. Like, I wouldn't worry about running those kind of clicks to a YouTube video, all right? So don't worry about that. As far as your money site, I would be lying if I said that I don't still have some campaigns running using it, but they're all navigational campaigns that are going to money sites, I mean. So in other words, they're very conservatively with just brand, or what they call navigational searches, navigational search queries, right? What is a navigational search query? That would be brand name plus, or just brand name plus phone, or brand name plus contact, brand name plus website, brand name plus location, brand name plus service. And when I say service, I mean like keywords. For example, if it's a plumber, and let's say it's Roto-Rooter, and you need a water heater repair or replacement, let's say water heater repair, then you might, a navigation search for that would be like Roto-Rooter water heater repair. Does that make sense? So anything like that, a brand search plus the city name. So like anything that includes a brand search is what's called a navigational search query. Or any search that contains the brand term, brand name, is a navigational search query. So I still have some of those set up. They're just run very conservatively. So they, just a trickle, a couple, 10, 15 maybe searches per month. And then from that, I end up using the location IPs. I don't know how accurate any of that is. It does use a shit ton more credits if you do it that way, but I narrow it down to the city level. And then what I do is just monitor the activity on those, you know, to see what sort of search activity has been done. And if I don't see any in a couple of weeks, if I haven't seen what I had set it to, like, you know, let's say I got 15 a month, so you should essentially see one every other day. And if in 2 weeks I don't see 5, 6, 7 searches, then I know that it might be too narrow, my targeting. So I pull that back to just maybe state level as opposed to city level, if that makes sense, and then allow it to run that way. And so I still use it for that, and it still works okay. It's not great. It's not nearly as effective as it used to be. One other thing you can still do that does still work well is the referral traffic method. And if you remember, I don't know, Tom, if you caught last week's Hump Day Hangout, but somebody asked a question similar to that, and I found the video that I had done with Jason Johnson about how to use Crowdsearch for referral traffic for video SEO. It works whether it's video SEO or for your own money sites too. So I don't have that right offhand, but it was on last week's Hump Day Hangout. If you want to go find that in your Google events, if not, maybe I can find. I'll locate it afterwards and grab that link and drop it here on this page. You can watch that too, and that'll show you how to set up referral traffic campaigns with it, which are really good. Okay. So don't worry about not using. I mean, if you've got it, just use it. You know what I mean? Like, there's no reason not to use it. Just be careful about it. Like, I do not like doing keyword search like CT spam, right? Click through spam from Google search to my money sites with it anymore. Okay. Referral traffic's fine. Navigational search queries are fine, but not keyword search. I wouldn't recommend doing keyword search queries unless you're incredibly conservative. All right. And then referral traffic works well, and YouTube also. Jenny is up. He's been following the mastermind, or excuse me, the Mindset Mastery series. What's up, Jenny? I appreciate your comments, buddy. He says, Happy New Year. Wishing health, wisdom, and prosperity to you all. I'll +1 that. Back at you. Question, do you recommend publishing or posting published press releases on lead generation sites? I've been using PRs for a while, and it does help with the snack pack rankings. Yes, it does. I was wondering if it would be wise to post a copy of PR on Money Site under, like, in the press category, or have it run through IFTTT. Good, bad, or ugly? Ranks, I mean, thanks. Jenny, yeah, you can do that. Just whenever a press release is distributed, it always, from whatever the service is that the distribution service is that's being used, it's published in one location first, and then it's picked up by the press cables or the press wires or whatever, and republished, right? Syndicated and republished by all the sites in that distribution network. But it's originally published in one location. So if you can identify, and a lot of times all you got to do is just publish the press release, and then go, once you get the report back from whatever service it is that you're using, just go open up one of the press releases and click on one of the links, and it'll take you to one of the published press releases. And usually at the bottom it will have an attribution as to where the original source was, the original publication source, right? So just click that and it'll take you to the original source, and from there just copy that URL and give attribution to that URL. You can republish the press release on your own site and your own syndication networks, right? You can re-syndicate it out to your own networks. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Just make sure that you treat it just as if you would any other sort of syndicated post, which is that you give credit back to its original source. So identify the source. Like I mentioned, you can do that by just clicking on any one of the distribution points. Most of them will have an attribute. They should all have it, really. A link back to the original publication. And from there, you just copy that URL and just give attribution back to that. Cite the source. Republish it on your own blog. That's fine. Just put a link at the bottom, says originally published here, and then link to it.
You know what? I'm in a good mood. Someone just donated $100 to the charity, and so I'm gonna give something away. Look, most of these press release centers have a media room, whatever they call it, where they list your press releases. They'll also allow you to iframe, whether it's your website, maps, or whatever videos or other things in that media room, in that media center. Take that page and iframe it on your website. It's not that difficult. If you don't know how to iframe, just go to the W3C schools, and it shows you how to iframe, how to make it fit your page or whatever, and then you can, I'm not going to say spam, you can build links, let's make it as quality as possible to your media center on the press release center. That's going to hit the iframe that's on your web page anyway. And what's going to happen is you're gonna get that mirror on mirror effect that's powering up your press releases anyway. It'll power up your media room, and it'll power up the page where you do the iframe, and then that'll spread throughout. If you have that linked correctly, we showed jump links in RYS Reloaded. I'm not going to share that here, but if you have your jump links done right and iframed also correctly, I mean, you're going to destroy just about anything that you're doing, your competition locally. I mean, yeah. It works really, really well.
And I was going to say, then you do a drive stack with the iframed page, the page on the site, with the iframe media room. You do a drive stack with that page as the target URL. It's incredible.
And so now you have like a triple iframe. It gets crazy. But iframes it's where it's at. It's where it's at, because it's not counted as a link, but it's a link, and it's do follow, and all kinds of good things happen through iframes.
All kinds of debauchery. So that's awesome. I can't believe you gave that away. You're usually telling me to zip it. So awesome. Thanks, Marco. Ralph is up. Ralph says, Hump Day questions. Okay, back to the P.O. Box question. I recently took over SEO on a client's website. They are ranking well for certain keywords using a Minneapolis address. However, the address used is a UPS store. I didn't realize this until I looked at the photos. I thought it was a P.O. box from the US Postal Service, but it is not. So what should I do? Move it over to USPS P.O. box? If I change the address from the UPS store to a P.O. box in Minneapolis, will that affect our rankings? Will I be able to move the reviews along with the address? Yes. Okay, well, the first question is, what should I do? Move it? I wouldn't move it if it's ranking. And if here's the thing. If it's already ranking, there's really no reason to move it. I don't suggest creating new UPS or new Google My Business listings using UPS mailboxes, because Google has cracked down on that quite a bit. But if you have flown under the radar this long, leave it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't go in and mess with it as long as it's ranking. That doesn't mean that tomorrow or 6 months from now or 2 years from now, Google isn't going to come in and say it's a spam account and turn, and deactivate or delete that listing, terminate the listing. But why not just cross that bridge when you come to it? I mean, that's what I'm saying. If it's not ranking yet, then yeah, change it. Why not? You don't have anything to lose, right? But if it's already ranking, it's producing results for the client, then I wouldn't mess with it. Okay, just leave it alone. However, if you were to change the address from a UPS store to a P.O. box, would the reviews move along with your address? Yes. The only time the reviews do not move is when you delete or terminate or when you close a listing and then create a new listing. That's the only time that you're going to lose the reviews. It used to be when there were Google Plus pages and all that kind of stuff, there was some trickiness there where you could lose them, but now it's all done in maps. So if all you're doing is changing the address or any one of the data points, any one of the company details, it doesn't change the listing. In other words, it's still the same company, it's still the same entity. It's just some of the details have changed. So your reviews will stay in place, okay? Some of this may be rookie questions, but hey, I'm thankful. No, that doesn't matter, Ralph. That's what we're here for. I know there was some time in the past where rookie questions may have been looked down upon by me at some point, but that's no longer the case, guys. I welcome any question. We do. That's what we're here for. Okay, that's what the Hump Day Hangouts is all about. So thanks for participating, Ralph, and hopefully that helps. I wouldn't mess with it. Leave it alone as long as it's producing results. If it's not ranking, then sure, change it now, because it could be a problem in the future. It may always stay under the radar. I just know I've had UPS mailboxes that have had issues because of that. Okay. Mohammed's up. What's up, Mohammed? He's another one. He just joined our mastermind recently. It's awesome. He's been really active. So thank you for that. He says, hey guys, what's a good sign that your client acquisition pipeline needs work? Maybe it's because of the holidays, but lately I've been getting just a couple of leads every week or two. Now, obviously, more is better. But what does a healthy pipeline look like to you guys in terms of activity? Okay, that's a great question. And Mohammed, we have been heavy prospecting for the last, I don't know, 2 months or so. And yes, I think we have been unsuccessful for the most part in closing the leads that we've been able to generate, because I believe a big part of it has to do with the holidays. Look, we as a group, Semantic Mastery, know for sure, beyond a shadow of a doubt, because we've been in the marketing and just, doing this stuff now for several years in the internet marketing space, is that our like product sales and everything tank between November and basically middle to end of January. So pretty much from November to February, like sales just tank. And it's because of the holidays. It makes sense. Well, I'm finding that to also be the case for like most bit, like it's not just internet marketing industry related, right? Or specific. Like that's across the board, it seems, because we've been contacting contractors for our agency, and we haven't been able to sell shit in the last month, like 6 weeks, really, because, and I believe it has to do with the holidays. So it's probably pretty normal. At least from my experience, it seems to be that that's the case. Like we probably would have been better off just pausing the whole prospecting campaign at the start of November. But I've been trying to refine that process a bit for training purposes. So that's why we left it going. But that said, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was about to say that I was experiencing the exact same thing that you guys were. We discussed this a little bit on the meeting. So it's completely normal. Like November and December are by far the worst months for new client acquisition.
Yeah,
they're great for upsells or cross sells, or if you have a client and they're investing because they're with a credit card in hand and whatnot. That's great. Like if you already have a database built, but starting from scratch on November and December for new client acquisition is pretty tough.
Yeah.
Mostly because everyone is seeing what kind of deal they can get, right? So everyone is shopping pretty much, number one. And number two, everyone is thinking about something else. So you need to have that in mind, Mohammed. Like most of our businesses are non-seasonal unless you're treating with some specific type of contractors. I know that Bradley does a lot of tree services, and those are really seasonal, but nonetheless, you need to have that in mind. Like these months are usually best for upsells and cross sells. Like sell them some more stuff,
Yep.
The only client I ever closed, and we're talking about nearly 15 years, the only client I ever closed at Christmas was a client who did something that was seasonal. Of course, for the Thanksgiving and Christmas season. And that was it. And well, there was another one, but that was here in Costa Rica. But that's because that's the tourist high season in Costa Rica. So it's very seasonal. I mean, you guys are absolutely right. That I can think of in 15 years, 2 clients. One was for tourism, and the other one was what they were selling was for not Thanksgiving, but Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas. So it's okay, Mohammed. I'd be worried if it doesn't start picking up this month, like towards the end of the month. Then that's when you should start looking and saying, okay, what's going on? What do I need to fix?
Yeah. And so he says he's been getting just a couple leads every week or two. Now, obviously, more is better. But what does a healthy pipeline look like to you guys in terms of activity? That's also a good question. It depends really on what type of volume you're looking to do. Also, what type of prospecting you're doing. In other words, there is the laser approach or the rifle approach, right, which is very, very targeted. We covered that just recently in the mastermind when we did the video email prospecting webinar, where I went through that step by step. That's very super effective for generating leads, but it can be very time consuming. You can outsource the majority of it, but there is one specific part that you, as the the technician, the person that will be dealing with the client, needs to do, and that's record the videos yourself. like introduction or the audit videos is what I call them, right? So that's something that you would need to do. But that right there, like it's time consuming. So, but it's very effective. So let's say that you had what I suggested during that webinar was that you develop a process and develop a habit, create, make sure that that's like a corporate habit. In other words, it's a habit that you've developed for your business so that it gets done. And that's why I mentioned in the webinar, and we're going to be releasing a course on this in a few weeks, guys, specifically about this. Okay. A full-on course about it. All right. But, if you outsource this, it'll get done. If you leave it to yourself to do it, I know, and I'm speaking from experience from me, guys. I can talk about what I did, and it's pretty common. It's pretty typical because I've heard this. What do we do especially as solopreneurs, which I'm pretty sure Muhammad is, which is what I was for a very long time, is if we provide client services or we're looking for lead gen, service providers to buy leads from us, then what do we typically do? We typically go out and set up prospecting campaign. We start to generate leads. We start talking to a few people. Then we land a client or two or three, and then we turn the prospecting machine off. And we go fulfill that. We go, do the work that they hired us for, right? So we go rank properties and work on their stuff and blah, 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 because we're good. We got those leads, right? We closed the sale. We're good. We don't need any more leads right now. But then what happens when that work is done? Then you got to start all over again, right? You got to start that machine back up. You got to go through the process. What you should be doing is, and I've said this many times before, but this is where I failed. And that's why I say I speak from experience, because that's exactly what I did. I used to do it in waves and cycles. So it was always up and down, up and down. And what I should have done in retrospect was kept my pipeline full of leads at all times, because that does a number of things. Number one, it helps you to be more selective in who you get to work with, right? If you got 10, 20 new leads coming in every single week, then you can select you can cherry pick the best leads to work with. So that way, if you start to catch any resistance from anybody, or you feel like that communication is not, isn't great between a potential prospect and yourself, then you don't have to work with them. And when you only turn on a prospecting machine long enough to collect a few leads, then you try to close every one of them sales. Am I right? How many of you guys can relate to that? If you've only got 5 leads in your pipeline, you try to close every damn one of them, regardless of whether the project is really ideal or not, right? Because you don't have any other leads to work on. So if you had 20 leads instead of 5, you could hand select the ones that you want to work with, and the ones that feel like they're uncomfortable or you got a gut feeling are going to be difficult or whatever, you pass on them, right? You put them in the delete pile so that you don't even have to worry about them. And that way you can be more selective. You get to work on projects that you prefer to work on. And it's something that, again, you need to keep that going all the time, Muhammad. That's what I totally recommend. And that's why I recommend outsourcing the vast majority of that, because then it gets done week in and week out without you having to do it. You can focus on doing the other stuff, right? And so, again, if you're just to finish up, if you're using the video email prospecting method, which is a very targeted approach, the rifle approach, you may only be able to get 10 or 20 emails sent out per week. If you systematize it, you turn it into a process, you hire an outsourcer, you could easily do 10 to 20 videos per week, outbound emails per week. And out of that, you should expect about 6 to 8 leads, right? As long as your numbers are similar to the numbers that I've been able to repeat over and over again over the years. However, if you're doing a shotgun approach, which is a more mass prospecting method, then you probably are going to want to have a much higher number as far as inbound leads coming in. The quality of those leads is going to be a lot lower, because it's not specific messaging targeted to each prospect like it is with video email, right? It's more of a generic or generalized message that goes out. So those leads aren't as valuable. I don't want to say they're not as valuable. They're not as qualified. So you end up having to sort through a lot of duds to find the gems, right? You sift through a lot of dirt to find the gems. And that's what happens with the mass prospecting method. But you can increase your inbound leads exponentially. Like right now, we're averaging about 7 or 8 inbound leads per day, based on about a 75 or 80 outbound emails per day. So we're getting about a 10 anywhere. It's roughly a 10% response rate from mass prospecting but our quality of leads isn't as good as if we were to do video email, where we'd get a 30 to 40% response rate, and they would be much higher quality when we those responses are much higher quality because it was more like a personalized message, if that makes sense. So again, it's going to all depend, Mohammed, on what are good numbers. It depends on your prospecting method. It depends on you know, how you're trying to scale your business and that kind of thing. But either way, whether you're doing shotgun method or the rifle method, I recommend that you set up a process and just turn that shit on and don't ever turn it off. Just let it run. Keep your pipeline full of as many leads as possible so that you always know that you have a bucket to go to pull work from whenever you need it. Okay? You guys have any comments on that before I move on?
No, I think that's good, personally.
Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, I think that we're, Adam, are we still sending out books to our mastermind members, like the 10X rules, for example?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so that's a great book by Ahmed. Like, that's a great book to read if you want to increase the amount of leads that you're getting. It's a way of seeing things, right? But Grant Cardone, at some point, he will tell you that you need 10 times the amount of leads that you think you need in order to close one of them, right? So I think that that's another thing that we do for mastermind members, is that we send them amazing books every month. So the 10X rule is definitely one of my favorite books on this regard, you know?
I agree.
Yeah.
Adrian, hey guys, Happy New Year to you all. I was wondering if you could answer a question about Lead Gadget. I'm interested in your method of helping get my LG sites indexed. I saw somewhere that you add the sites to Google to index, but only 2 sites per Google account. Do you use browser? Well, first of all, Adrian, just as clarification, I haven't used Lead Gadget in probably over a year. Not because it doesn't work. It's just, it doesn't fit my business model. I attempted to force that into my business model, but it's a churn and burn strategy, guys, and it's not my preferred strategy. I'm not saying anything bad about Lead Gadget and the ATM, the application that they built to build these mass page sites. It's awesome. It's very powerful, but it's a churn and burn strategy. It's not something that I like to do. I like to develop assets that I build once and they last for years for the most part, right? And so again, I spent a lot of time and money developing training for Lead Gadget, training virtual assistants. We built out, like, I think in total between my sites and the sites that I was doing for Semantic Mastery when we were scaling that, over 1,000 sites. And honestly, they didn't pan out the way that I wanted them to. And I know that it would have had I stuck with it. I would have figured it out, but it wasn't. Again, it was churn and burn, and I don't like that type of work personally. I prefer to build assets that are long-term assets. I build them once they start generating revenue, they continue to generate revenue. And so just to give you some update, Adrian, like I said, I haven't done anything with Lead Gadget in well over a year. So I don't know that any of those methods are even still valid today. Okay, because I'm not in there messing with that application anymore. Okay.
Where would be a good place for him to go?
I would go to the Lead Gadget group in Facebook, or contact Don or Brian, right? The developers. Find out. I'm sure they've got training somewhere of what's working right now. Again, what I did was, a year and a half, 2 years ago now, and so I wouldn't recommend. I mean, that may still be valid, but I would get confirmation on that from people that are still doing this every day, right? All right, I mean, I appreciate the question, Adrian. Sorry, I can't give you a better answer, buddy. It's just not something I'm doing, and if I gave you an answer right now, it would likely not be accurate. So I don't want to do that. Amy. Hey, Semantic Mastery Gang, Happy New Year. My question is, what's the deal with PBNs for 2018? I see a lot of conflicting information about setting them up and how to use them. I am so confused, and I really don't know what to do. I'm going to let Marco take that one because I know he's got a strong opinion on it.
I wanted to rant when I saw this, because people who are still using the term PBN are doing the industry a disservice. There's no such thing as a PBN anymore. Name me the last private blog network that you got into, you got some links, and it actually did something for your rankings. And I mean truly private, because the moment that they advertise, it's no longer private. I mean, that's an oxymoron, private blog network, but you advertise, right? You go out into you do it in Google, and Google's looking for you. And so what's going on now is that PBNs, or whatever it is that you want to call them, I don't know what we're going to call them. What it's become, it's a link network, and you can do your own link network, but it takes a lot of time and effort. You can't just go the way that you used to get an expired domain and then just bring it back, put a link in there, and link to your website, and that's it. It was fine. Now we're talking about relevance. Is there activity, relevance, right? And trust and authority. That all comes into play. Why? Because Google figured out that instead of going after the private blog networks, all they had to do was go after the type of links that these private blog networks provided, which were garbage to start with. And so they came up with the distance graph. And what the distance graph did is it devalued most of the links, unless your links came from what's called a seed site or a seed set. And if you Google the death of the PBN, death PBN, I forget what I called the blog post, from back in 2015, December, it tells you what happened and why it happened. And it told you way back when Google simply came public with what they were going to do with these types of links. And so how do you fix that? How do you make these links quality? Well, it's something that has to be worked on. We do it through RYS Reloaded. We do it through Drive Stacks. We do it through Google Sites. That's inside the belly of the beast. You can't get any closer to trust and authority than that. Then we get some activity going. We get tons of relevance going. And so we don't need to go to a PBN type thing to do it. We could call it satellites, because we do use Peter Drew's G-Site builder to push relevance to something that may be a little bit difficult to push up, right? Maybe we have a keyword, we'll build a page for it, we'll push extra relevance. It might just take an extra folder inside the main drive folder for that keyword, an extra page, an extra push press. I mean, so many things work. Press releases have quality links that you can use. There's so many places where you can grab quality links. Our own syndication academy over time builds up the quality, the relevance, the trust, the authority, and activity, all of the things that you need to make this work. And so I get upset when I see people still using the term PBN. And even in one of the bigger Facebook groups that still push PBNs, the person who started the group came out and said that PBNs were no longer working the way that they used to. You have to do them differently. But he's still calling them PBNs, and I don't understand why, because they're not PBNs. I mean, that's my take on it. If you guys have another take on it, or if you can expound on what I said, you're more than welcome. But to me, the upsetting thing is that in 2018, we're still calling them PBNs, and that's a disservice to the community.
Yeah. Yeah, they are still, I mean, they can still be effective. Part of the reason I stopped using them was because the requirements to hide your footprint, you know, it became more and more difficult. Like really with that to do it correctly. Finding hosting that was decent, that was affordable, you know, hiding all the footprint issues for, like, you know, name servers and SOA records and who is data, and then you know, have to have unique IPs and different themes and different types of site installs, and like all the shit that goes into it is just, it continued to get more and more difficult. More and more stuff was added for PBN in order for them to be set up correctly to where they were safe and would last, would have some longevity and still be effective, right? Like another one of the things about PBNs, those types of sites, is that they need to be built out to look like real sites, right? And so you end up spending, what I ended up finding was that I ended up having to build out PBNs as if they were like mini money sites, like other money sites. because that's the only way to make them look valid and genuine and real to where they'll pass manual review. And what makes PBN so much more effective is if you can get them to rank and to actually generate real traffic, right? That in itself will supercharge a PBN. But in order to do that, you have to treat the site like a money site. And to me, it just was so much work to try to build little mini money sites, so to speak, to push, you know, to build links in order to the money site that I ultimately want to target. It's just a lot of work. And so that's part of the reason why I stopped doing it. However, you know, there might be some solutions out there that are still valid that work. And you know, maybe your friends at Semantic Mastery are working on developing something to do that.
Well, I would say that's a definite possibility that we will come up with something, but it will not be a PBN.
No,
there's
it won't
no
be a
such
PBN.
thing
That's right.
as a PBN, guys. There is no such thing. I don't give a fuck who's saying it. There's no PBN.
Yep. One last thing I want to mention about that before we move on, we still got about 10 minutes, is interestingly, some of the people I talk to that still use PBNs quite a bit, actually, that is the process or the method that I was just talking about is what they do. And that is they treat them almost as if they're mini money sites. They work on you know, making sure that the design is nice, that the content is quality, that it ranks, that there are offers and things that can be monetized on the actual PBN site so that the site itself ends up generating revenue. It's not just a site that was built for the sole intent of ranking another site. It's a site that actually generates traffic and actually generates revenue. They'll put AdSense on it, or they'll put affiliate offers, or they'll put banner ads. So, you know, so that they can get paid for clicks, that kind of stuff. There's all different kinds of things that you can do to monetize affiliate site, or excuse me, PBN style sites. Okay. And that's one of the things that the people that are still using them, that's what they're doing, right? That's what, at least the people that I've talked to, they're creating like these little mini money sites that they're monetizing, they're ranking, they're getting traffic to them. And all of those are signals that help to elevate or increase the power of that site. It makes it more valid, right? More powerful. So anything that it links to becomes it's a much stronger link because what Marco says, ART, it has all of those characteristics of a real site. Go ahead, Marco.
So what they work on is activity, relevance, trust, and authority, which changes the link from a garbage link to a link that's considered part of a seed site or a seed set. And again, go read the blog post. I know it's from 2015. It's over 2 years old, but it's relevant today because it's explaining what's happening. And I explained it back in 2015. So 2 years ago, guys, this was done. This was, you know, you were warned that it was happening. I know a lot of you guys are new and you're not up on it. If you're not, you know, I'll go find it for you and post the link so that you can go read it. But it's a good read.
Awesome. Adrian, one more question about Lead Gadget. He says, you said you would be doing a course on teaching VAs to build with Lead Gadget. How's that going? Well, that was done. I created training for virtual assistants. I trained 2 VAs that's all they were doing full time was building sites. So, but I never released that. It was proprietary training. In other words, it was specific to the projects that we were working on. So I did not make a more generic version of it. And I am no longer associated with those guys. Like, I'm not part of that business anymore. So obviously I'm not going to create training for it now, Adrian. Okay. At the time I was associated with them, and I did develop it, but it was never turned into an actual training product that you could use because it wasn't white labeled, so to speak, or whitewashed, if that makes sense. It was still all the projects I was working on. Okay, John, thank you for that, buddy. I appreciate that. John is also a mastermind member. He just posted the video for the Crowdsearch for referral traffic from last week. I appreciate that, John. Nigel says, Happy New Year, gents. +1. I am starting out with a new client yoga studio and want to follow the BattlePlan using done-for-you services. However, a lot of this is new to me, and I want to be sure of what I'm ordering. That said, is there additional guidance that comes with or advice for a newbie when purchasing SerpSpace done for you services? Any recommendations beyond BattlePlan for new yoga practice whose end goal is eventually Amazon and sponsorship? I am trying to establish a more done for you fulfillment from the start, if that matters. Any feedback is appreciated. Well, Nigel, right here is a great spot for you to ask any questions at all about SerpSpace stuff or processes or anything. That's what Hump Day Hangouts is for. Right. So, and this is free. It doesn't cost you anything. So you're welcome to come here and post questions. We, certainly ask that you don't post 6 questions in a row. You know what I mean? Because that wouldn't be fair to other people, but come in and post a question or two. And then if you can attend live, then you can just, wait till a couple other questions have been posted and then post another question or two. That's fine. And we're happy to answer them here. You can also ask some questions, obviously, in the SerpSpace support. And I don't think we have a Facebook group for it yet. I know we've been talking about it, but you could also ask questions probably in our Facebook group too. And we can tag the appropriate people to get you the right response. Do you guys have any other suggestions, Adam? Maybe?
Yeah, one sec. I was just trying to look. If I can find it, I think the group might be going up or it'll be up soon. I thought I saw something, but I don't want to give it out in case they're still working on it. So we'll just say, I think what you said is good start. And then, yeah, just keep asking questions, Nigel.
Yeah, the free Facebook group. We are there from time to time. We're not that, we're like that. That group is to, we've been talking a little bit about this yesterday. Like that group is mostly about, having a conversation going and asking you guys questions and, talking about trends and whatnot. We kind of, sometimes we will answer some questions over there, but mostly, it's for you guys to interact. If you want your questions answered by the Semantic Mastery team, that's what the mastermind is for, or you get your shot at the Hangouts too. So
that's right. So again, definitely check, feel free to come here, Nigel, and ask questions. That's fine. You can use their support over there. Also, if you have questions specific about an ordering process or something like that, that's what it's for. And we're happy to answer any questions. Okay. So it looks like we're done with questions. We can wrap it up a couple minutes early. That's fine. I know we've got another meeting coming up anyways. So any parting words?
Let's see, we got a few minutes, so I'm going to take the mic for a second, just say to everybody, again, thank you for donating to the charity. And if you have a chance to go back and if you haven't yet, like literally, like Marco said, $1 helps. Anything's appreciated, and, you're going to end up helping kids, which is what we've done now 2 years in a row, is finding charities and ways we can try to help kids. There's always someone worse off who can use help. I know I've had help in my life, and I'm super appreciative of it. And hearing what Marco's saying about these kids, I'm sure that, this could make some pretty significant changes in their lives.
Yeah, absolutely. Looks like we got another one from Mohammed. He says, hey guys, given what y'all just said about PBNs, would it still be advisable to follow the BattlePlan section that deals with it? Hernan?
I would say so. The reality is that when we talk about PBNs on the BattlePlan, if you see how we treat them, we talk about them on a context, right? We're not saying, yeah, go ahead, buy a shitty domain, put one link on it, blah, blah, blah. We're really actually saying what we're actually saying here, which is the work involved on a PBN, sorry, is much more than what it was, 3 years ago when you could just slap up a shitty website and just put a link and bam, you got ranked. That's not how it's working right now. And it's another way. And I think it's like the 7th or 8th step after, you go into the BattlePlan. So we always recommend first doing everything else that you know how to do, Mohammed, which is, the drive stacks, the syndication networks, boost those syndication networks, et cetera, first, and then you can go into some sort of PBNs should those be needed, right? Because if you comply those steps, those usually are not needed. And we're really clear on the BattlePlan that these are steps that you can follow, but at some point, if you don't need to push any more links to it, just don't do it, right? Don't do a PBN because it says over there, do PBN or whatever. And those are mostly suggestions, right? Like the way we do things. If we need a keyword, pushed up or whatever. So those, you need to have that in mind, and you need to have the context that surrounds all of the website. I think it's really the on-site SEO part of the website is really like super critical, that you go through that first, and then you move forward down the line. You move down the line on the different tips and tricks that we give. But have that in mind, Mohammed.
My take on this is until our service comes online, which shouldn't be that far. I'm looking probably 4, 5, 6 months down the line when we bring that on, where it's going to be perfect for solving the PBN problem. I'd say just save yourself a whole bunch of time, problems, and headaches, and go order a drive stack. And you're going to get better results than you can get from probably any, for lack of a better word, PBN that you could buy and set up, unless you buy, you get that 1 in a million where it's super powerful and it has those links that you're looking for, and you can build it up really nice. Then it's worth spending the time to get it to rank and to do all of the things that you needed to do to push all of that relevance and trust and authority and activity over to the main site. But you can get that done through a drive stack, man. So why go through all that hassle?
Yeah. All right, we got to wrap it up. We got one more question that came through from Ralph Pendergraph. He says, Bradley, are you worried that Google may come down on USPS PO boxes? I mean, yeah, I am, of course. That's always a concern, but it still works, and I've been worried about that for 3 or 4 years since I started doing it, and it still works today. What I recommend is, if you're going to be using PO boxes with the street address option, it absolutely still works. But what I have seen is, if you try to register several Google My Business listings under the same account that are all using PO boxes, sometimes after the second or the third PO box that you try to register as a Google My Business listing, it will flag the account. And I've had that happen. So the workaround is just create a new Google account, a new Google profile for every single new GMB listing that you're going to create using a PO box as the physical address. That's what I found works, and I haven't had any trouble since. Occasionally, I will still get one that gets terminated or rejected right off the bat. And then I've even and it's rare, but it happens. And then all I'll do is I'll even get another PO box in the same freaking post office and create a new Google account using the new address, and it's worked. So I don't know if it's a fluke or what, but it has happened. And like I said, it's something that I'm going to continue to use as long as it's still working. At some point, they may crack down on it. Technically, it's against terms of service, but as long as it's still working, I'm going to use it. Building a backlink to your site is against terms of service. You know what I mean? So, all right, guys, we appreciate y'all being here. We'll see y'all next week. Thanks.
Adios.
All right.
Good.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.